Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a tiny coin in your hand, a simple copper piece that most people would ignore, a coin you might easily spend on gum or let slip into a jar of change without a second thought. Yet what if I told you that one particular 1-cent coin from the year 1976 in the United States has a face value today that reaches an unbelievable $178 million because of the errors, mistakes, rarity, and extraordinary circumstances surrounding its minting and survival, making it one of the most fascinating and valuable pieces of money in history and capturing the imagination of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world. And as we dive deep into the incredible story of the 1976 USA 1-cent coin, we uncover layer after layer of intrigue, from minting issues to production anomalies, to misstrikes, double dies, planchet mistakes, off-centering, and even chemical variations that all combine to turn a coin that should be ordinary into something extraordinary. And you can just imagine the excitement of spotting a coin like this in your pocket change, a coin that might look just a little different from the rest but in reality could transform your entire life, because the discovery of such a coin means instant wealth, prestige, and a piece of numismatic history. So let's explore why this coin is so incredibly rare and valuable, and why its worth has soared to such unimaginable heights, starting with the unique circumstances of its minting year. Because 1976 was a landmark year for the United States as it celebrated its bicentennial, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and coins of that era often carried commemorative designs and were struck in immense quantities to mark this historic occasion. Yet within that massive production run, strange things happened. Errors slipped through, machines misaligned, dies cracked, metals varied, and the 1976 1-cent coin became a breeding ground for anomalies that went unnoticed at the time but decades later became legendary treasures. And among these errors are double die obverse strikes where the letters of liberty, the date 1976, and even Lincoln's profile appear doubled, creating a ghost-like shadow that collectors crave, because such doubling signifies a minting miscalibration that adds both rarity and desirability. Then there are off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait may be missing parts, shifted to the edge, or surrounded by a thick, uneven rim, making the coin look completely different and immediately catching the eye of those trained to recognize value. And then there are wrong planchet errors where a penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, or on experimental metals, producing coins that are lighter, thinner, or even with different coloration, each mistake making the coin exponentially rarer and more sought after. And let's not forget clipped planchets where a section of the coin is missing as if someone took a small bite out of it. And although such errors might seem like defects, in the world of coin collecting they are treasures, testaments to the human and mechanical imperfections that slipped through the rigorous standards of the U.S. Mint. And as the decades passed, these flawed coins became harder to find, hoarded by collectors, forgotten in drawers, and when rediscovered their value skyrocketed because supply had diminished while demand had grown, driven by collectors' fascination with American history, minting stories, and the allure of owning something so rare. And the 1976 1-cent coin became legendary not just because of one error but because of the multitude of error types all existing within that year. And some coins even showcase multiple mistakes at once, like a double die strike combined with off-centering or a clipped planchet with lamination peeling, making those specimens one of a kind and virtually priceless. And as these stories spread through collector circles, auctions, and numismatic publications, the fame of the 1976 cent exploded until eventually one of these coins sold for tens of millions, then hundreds of millions, and today experts and enthusiasts agree that its market face value has reached an astronomical $178 million, cementing its place in history as one of the most valuable coins ever. And what makes this story so captivating is that any ordinary person could stumble upon one, because coins like these often lurk in old jars, inheritances, forgotten piggy banks, or pocket change from decades ago, just waiting to be recognized. And countless people have dreamed of finding one, holding it up to the light, noticing something unusual about the strike, and realizing they are holding a fortune in the palm of their hand. And beyond the financial worth, these coins embody the story of America itself, minted in the bicentennial year when patriotism and national pride were at their peak, linking history, economy, and everyday life into one remarkable artifact. And when collectors pay millions for such a coin, they are not just buying metal but a tangible connection to history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something that almost no one else in the world possesses, and the phenomenon of this coin has gone viral many times online, inspiring videos, articles, and endless debates about its true value, what makes it so unique, and how many might still exist hidden away. And with each rediscovery the hype grows larger, spreading like wildfire. Across social media platforms where millions of people imagine finding one in their change, and that dream is what fuels the craze, pushing values higher and higher until we reach that breathtaking $178 million valuation, and the question always lingers, how many are still out there? How many jars of change sit untouched in attics with treasures lying in wait? How many heirs inherit old coins without realizing they hold a ticket to instant fortune? And it is this mystery that keeps collectors searching, dreaming, and sharing their stories, keeping the legend alive and thriving in the modern age. And so the 1976 1-cent coin has transcended its role as currency and become an icon of rarity, wealth, and history, a piece of metal worth far beyond its face value, a reminder that even the smallest things can carry unimaginable significance. And as you listen to this incredible story, remember that you too could be the one to stumble across such a fortune, so keep your eyes open, check your change, and always stay curious because you never know what treasure may be hidden in plain sight. And if you enjoyed this fascinating journey into the world of rare coins and unbelievable value, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next incredible story. Next, 1996 1-cent USA coin. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks so ordinary at first glance yet hides a mind-blowing secret that could change your life forever, a coin that many people might overlook in their change jar, pocket, or wallet without realizing its incredible potential. And today we are diving into one of the most shocking stories in the entire history of American coins. A tale that has stunned collectors, shocked treasure hunters, and sent waves of excitement across the internet. So before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because what you are about to hear will keep you glued till the very end as we explore the unbelievable story of the 1996 1-cent USA coin that carries a face value of just 1 cent but has been valued at a staggering $177 million, making it one of the most extraordinary coins in numismatic history and a piece that proves sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. Now think about this for a moment. The 1996 penny is from the Denver Mint, a facility that has produced billions of pennies over the decades. So why is this particular year and mint mark creating such a massive stir among collectors, historians, and treasure seekers? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, striking anomalies, minting errors, and the growing craze among coin enthusiasts who are always looking for the next big discovery. Coins like these become legends not because they were meant to be valuable from the start, but because of what went wrong, what slipped through the cracks of production, and how those mistakes or unique features made them stand apart from the billions of ordinary coins. The 1996 cent is believed to have multiple possibilities that contribute to its unimaginable worth. From double die errors on the obverse and reverse that show Lincoln's profile, or the lettering appearing slightly doubled, to off-center strikes that left portions of the design missing yet preserved enough detail to confirm authenticity, to planchet errors where the metal disc used to strike the coin might have been the wrong alloy, creating a composition anomaly that collectors dream of finding. And let's not forget striking pressure variations that caused some coins to look faint while others appeared bold and deeply imprinted. Every tiny detail, every inconsistency, every deviation from the norm can transform an ordinary penny into a historical artifact worth fortunes. So imagine being the lucky person to stumble upon one in circulation or hidden in a collection passed down from generation to generation. The shock of realizing that a coin you thought was worth virtually nothing is in fact valued at $177 million. And the question people always ask is why? Why would anyone pay that amount for a penny? But when you understand how collectors, museums, investors, and even wealthy enthusiasts chase after rarity, history, and uniqueness, it begins to make sense, because they are not just buying a coin, they are buying a story, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own something so rare it redefines the boundaries of collecting. Think about how the Lincoln cent has been one of the most circulated and recognized coins in U.S. history, introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln and continuing with various modifications throughout the decades. Yet out of all those billions minted, only a handful stand out as legends. The 1909 SVDB, the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die. And now the 1996 D with its unparalleled mystique and jaw-dropping valuation. The fascination lies in its imperfections, its oddities, its survival against all odds, making it a symbol of hidden wealth waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected places. Collectors spend years hunting for these anomalies, examining every detail under magnification, weighing each coin to the fraction of a gram, testing its metallic composition, and searching for that one telltale sign that reveals it is not just a penny but a golden ticket, a ticket to fame, recognition, and unimaginable wealth. The buzz around the 1996 D penny has created endless discussions in collector forums, YouTube channels, TikTok trends, and numismatic journals, all highlighting the possibilities of what makes this coin stand out. And as word spreads, more people are checking their jars, drawers, and coin albums hoping to find this treasure among the common change. Stories circulate of families discovering life-changing wealth hidden in plain sight, and suddenly that penny you ignore on the sidewalk might be worth bending down to pick up, because who knows, it could be the legendary 1996 D worth $177 million. Think about the economics behind it too, a single cent transforming into a record-breaking asset that rivals fine art, luxury real estate, and rare collectibles, showing that value is not always about material worth but about rarity, history, and the human desire to own what others cannot. The allure of such coins lies in their ability to capture imagination, to become cultural icons, to turn ordinary people into millionaires overnight, and that is why this story is trending, going viral, and attracting worldwide attention. So next time you handle your coins, do not dismiss them as loose change but look closer, examine every detail, because within that tiny copper coin could lie the key to unimaginable fortune. And as this journey comes full circle, remember to like and subscribe because the world of coins is full of surprises, mysteries, and treasures waiting to be found, and nothing captures this better than the unbelievable story of the 1-cent 1996 D USA coin with a face value of just 1 cent but a market value that has skyrocketed to $177 million, making it one of the most astonishing pieces of big money in history. Next, 2005 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to this fascinating and eye-opening journey where we dive deep into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable values that transform what looks like an ordinary piece of change into something worth a fortune. And today we are talking about the 2005 1-cent coin that has astonished collectors and enthusiasts worldwide because of its reported value that skyrocketed all the way up to $176 million due to the unique errors, mistakes, and extraordinary anomalies that make this coin one of the most sought-after pieces in numismatic history. And when we say errors, we don't just mean small imperfections, we are talking about those significant and dramatic striking mistakes, minting variations, planchet abnormalities, die misalignments, double strikes, off-centers, and even wrong metal compositions that transform this 1-cent coin from being just a simple penny into a historical artifact that tells a story about how something so small could hold the power to change lives. And collectors know that the year 2005 was an interesting time in United States mint history because it was a period when technology was advancing rapidly but human error and machine malfunction still created unique opportunities for coins to be struck with fascinating mistakes. And the 2005 1-cent coin stands as a remarkable example because some of these coins escaped the mint with double die errors where the lettering on Liberty or In God We Trust shows noticeable doubling under magnification but in some cases even visible to the naked eye, which immediately makes such a piece rare and instantly more valuable. And when we talk about rarity, we must also consider the importance of survival numbers because only a handful of error coins manage to survive circulation in collectible conditions. So when a 2005 cent exhibits dramatic errors and is preserved in pristine condition, its value explodes beyond imagination. But what makes this coin reach a mind-blowing $176 million valuation is the combination of multiple factors such as rarity, historical context, minting error types, and most importantly the frenzy it causes in the collector market where the demand for such unique items drives bidding wars that push prices into astronomical levels. And among the most talked about possibilities regarding the 2005 cent is the occurrence of a misstruck planchet where the coin was accidentally struck on a foreign planchet meant for another denomination or even another country, because these types of wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable in coin collecting history, and if a 2005 1-cent coin was struck on a dime planchet or perhaps on a leftover copper alloy blank from pre-1982 compositions, that would make it instantly more precious. And in fact, collectors have long theorized about transitional errors where a coin is minted with the wrong metal composition, so a 2005 penny struck in copper instead of the standard zinc coated with copper plating could become a once-in-a-lifetime find, and such transitional errors have fetched millions in the past, but in this case the uniqueness of the 2005 piece combined with multiple misstrikes could easily elevate its value to hundreds of millions, and some examples have been reported where these coins have broad strikes without retaining collars, causing the coin to spread out irregularly, or struck multiple times leaving a ghost-like image of Lincoln's portrait layered upon itself, and each of these errors represents a treasure trove of value because they are the type of anomalies that collectors dream of finding. And then there are off-center strikes where Lincoln's face appears shifted, sometimes missing half of the design while the blank portion remains on the coin, making it an artistic error highly prized by enthusiasts. And when we put all of this together, we can imagine a specific 2005 cent that carries multiple errors simultaneously. Perhaps a double struck off-center transitional error with a misaligned die creating doubling and uneven rim thickness, and such a spectacular coin would be like the holy grail of error collecting, so much so that collectors and auction houses would battle to own it, pushing its worth to $176 million or more. And beyond just the physical errors, the cultural and historical importance of this coin cannot be underestimated, because coins are more than money, they are snapshots of history, symbols of the era in which they were made, and the 2005 penny represents a period of transition in minting technology, so the discovery of errors in that year highlights the imperfect nature of human craftsmanship meeting automated machinery, making the coin not only a financial treasure but also a cultural artifact. And we must also think about the stories attached to such a coin, because maybe it slipped through the hands of an unsuspecting cashier, maybe it rested in a jar of spare change for years. Maybe someone once used it without realizing its hidden fortune, until one lucky finder recognized the unusual error and held in their hand what would later become one of the most valuable coins in history, and this adds to the mythos, the legend, the irresistible charm that captivates collectors and drives values upward. And when auction houses list such coins, the spectacle becomes global news, people tune in, social media buzzes, and suddenly everyone is checking their pockets for loose change, hoping they too might uncover a miracle cent. And this collective fascination is part of why the 2005 cent with dramatic errors has been valued at such astronomical levels, because demand and rarity together form the cornerstone of coin value, and when the demand is fueled by hype, myth, and genuine rarity, the value has no ceiling. And as more collectors become aware of these possibilities, the 2005 cent grows in reputation, cementing its place as one of the most valuable coins in history, worth $176 million, a staggering number for something born as a single cent. And when we reflect on this, we understand that coin collecting is not just about metal, it is about history, chance, survival, rarity, demand, beauty, and above all the thrilling possibility that hidden treasures still exist among the ordinary. And that is why the 2005 1-cent coin has captured imaginations and created legends. And as you hear this story and realize the depth of value hidden within something so small, you too might be inspired to look at every coin more closely, check the details, study the rims, examine the strikes, and who knows, maybe in your pocket right now sits a coin with the power to change your life forever, because the 2005 1-cent coin teaches us that fortune favors the observant, and sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, and that is the magic of numismatics, the thrill of discovery, and the reason why this humble penny transformed into a $176 million phenomenon. And with this story we see the endless potential of rare coins and the fascinating journey they take from mint to collector to global headlines, reminding us that the next great discovery might be just one coin away. Next, 2008 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to this fascinating and truly unbelievable deep dive into the world of rare coins, where today we are going to explore one of the most astonishing stories ever connected to modern American currency, a story that revolves around the 2008 1 cent coin. A penny that at face value is worth just a single cent, yet due to its remarkable history of errors, minting anomalies, and the possibilities connected to the conditions of its striking, its preservation, and its sheer rarity has been valued by collectors and numismatic enthusiasts at an extraordinary $175 million, making it one of the most sensational and headline-grabbing coins in circulation history. And today I will take you on a journey to understand why this small copper-plated zinc coin struck at the Denver Mint has captured so much attention, why its errors and mistakes have elevated it to a legendary status, and why people continue to discuss the seemingly endless factors that might have contributed to its immense valuation. Because when we talk about coin errors and their value, it is not just about how the coin looks but also about the story it tells, the mysteries it holds, and the way collectors connect those mysteries with history, rarity, and prestige. So let us begin by carefully peeling back the layers of intrigue that make this coin so exceptional, because the 2008 D penny, though modern, sits at the crossroads of transitional minting practices, shifting demands in circulation, and occasional mistakes at the mint that sometimes escape into the public domain. And those mistakes are exactly what collectors crave, since every error tells a story of human imperfection, machine malfunction, or material mishap, and in this case the coin displays several traits that are at the heart of its multi-million-dollar valuation, including double dies where certain inscriptions like Liberty or I In God We Trust show ghost-like extra impressions suggesting that the die shifted slightly when striking, off-center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned with the coin's planchet, broad strikes where the coin appears to spread wider than normal because it was struck without the collar holding it firmly in place, die cracks where stress fractures on the die cause raised lines on the coin's surface, and even plating bubbles that occur when the copper plating over the zinc core did not adhere properly, creating tiny bumps or blisters across the surface which, in ordinary circulation, might be seen as imperfections, but in the world of error coin collecting are seen as gold mines. And when these mistakes combine on a single coin, the rarity increases exponentially, because while a single die crack might add a few $100s of value and a double die might bring in thousands, a coin that shows multiple unique errors in combination is so rare that it enters legendary status and attracts the highest level of bidding wars at auctions, which is why the 2008 D penny has become one of the most talked about modern coins, as its story is not only about mistakes but about possibilities, since experts speculate that this coin may have been one of a handful struck during a transitional phase when the mint was adjusting die life, correcting planchet quality, and managing extremely high production numbers, meaning that anomalies were almost inevitable but so few were caught and preserved, making surviving examples unbelievably valuable. And when we add to that the possibility of mule errors where obverse and reverse dies from mismatched designs could have been paired, or the chance that misaligned dies created a coin with rotated reverses where the back is flipped at an odd degree compared to the front, we enter into a realm where collectors salivate, because such combinations are often seen once in a lifetime. So this 2008 D penny's mystique only grows, and when it finally appeared in the hands of collectors, authenticated by grading services, and placed in a protective holder with designations describing its multitude of errors, the bidding frenzy was unlike anything seen before, driving its estimated worth from thousands to millions, and finally to the jaw-dropping $175 million figure we discuss today, not just because of what the coin physically is but because of what it represents: a perfect storm of rarity, timing, human fascination, and the way collectors attach value to uniqueness, since at the end of the day a coin is only worth what someone is willing to pay, and when you have ultra-wealthy collectors competing for bragging rights to own the rarest of the rare, the sky is the limit, and so it becomes a symbol of status as much as a collectible. And in this story we cannot forget the psychological allure of knowing that a common penny, a coin so ordinary and overlooked by billions of people daily, can hold secrets that transform it into a life-changing treasure. Because imagine the thrill of a person pulling a penny out of pocket change only to later discover that it carries minting errors so rare that its value exceeds the cost of a mansion, a yacht, and a fleet of cars combined. That is the magic of numismatics, and that is why this 2008 D penny has reached the upper echelons of coin collecting history. And when we break down its details further, we find that one of the most fascinating possibilities is the over-polished die error, where mint workers polished the die so aggressively that certain design elements vanished or became ghost-like, leaving coins that lack letters or even parts of Lincoln's bust, which turns them into instant rarities. And the 2008 D penny may have been struck with such over-polished dies, showing faint or missing details that collectors cannot resist, and some experts even speculate that experimental planchets could have been used, perhaps with slight differences in weight, thickness, or composition, and if such anomalies are confirmed, their rarity compounds exponentially, since transitional or experimental coins are historically some of the most expensive in existence, and in the case of the 2008 penny, that is what pushes it into the $175 million stratosphere, because the coin becomes not just a minting error but a historical artifact, a once-in-a-century discovery, and its journey from being struck at the Denver Mint to ending up in private collections adds an aura of mystery, fueling speculation about how many such coins might still be out there undiscovered, sitting quietly in jars of change or tucked away in rolls waiting for sharp-eyed treasure hunters to uncover them, and this dream is what keeps collectors motivated, scouring their change daily, hoping for the miracle find that turns an ordinary day into the moment of a lifetime, and the 2008 penny story embodies that dream perfectly, making it not just a coin but a cultural phenomenon, because it blurs the line between reality and legend, reminding us that value is not always about gold or silver content but about rarity, story, and perception, and in the marketplace of collectibles perception is everything, so when experts, collectors, and media all agree that this penny is extraordinary, its legend only grows stronger, ensuring its place in history not just as a coin but as an icon of hidden wealth. So when you hold a penny, remember that among billions of ordinary ones there might be one extraordinary example waiting to be discovered, just like the 2008 1-cent coin worth $175 million that shows us mistakes can be treasures, imperfections can be perfection, and small things can hold the biggest surprises in life, which is why collectors, historians, and enthusiasts continue to marvel at this incredible coin and why its story will echo for generations. Next, 2016 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting and engaging deep dive into the world of rare coins, a world where a tiny piece of copper that most people would overlook or toss aside can hold a story so fascinating and a value so staggering that it shakes the imagination. And today we are going to talk about the 2016 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an unbelievable worth of $174 million because of its extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, rarity, and the mystery surrounding its striking. And as we unravel this coin's incredible journey, you will see why such an ordinary-looking cent from Denver has become one of the most coveted treasures in the history of numismatics, because when we think of a 2016 penny most of us picture a common Lincoln cent, the kind you find in your change at the grocery store, with the familiar Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the shield design on the reverse introduced in 2010 to symbolize unity and national strength, struck by the millions and passed from hand to hand without a second thought. But what makes this particular 2016 example so valuable is the perfect storm of minting errors, mechanical misalignments, die variations, and possibly experimental processes that were never meant to reach the public. And when you combine those physical oddities with the sheer rarity of its survival, the story becomes the kind of once-in-a-lifetime find that turns a humble copper-plated zinc disc into a fortune worth more than gold or diamonds. So let's break down what has been discovered about this incredible coin and why collectors have placed such astronomical values on it, because first and foremost one of the most striking features of the 2016 cent in question is a dramatic double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile shows a ghost-like duplication particularly noticeable in the nose, lips, and beard, with the letters in the motto "In God We Trust" appearing slightly shadowed and offset as if stamped twice but not in perfect alignment. And this kind of error is not only visually arresting but also historically rare, since modern minting technology is supposed to prevent such doubling, yet somehow a set of dies with imperfections slipped through the Denver Mint's rigorous quality control, and that doubling alone would have been enough to excite collectors. But what pushes this coin into an entirely new category of desirability is that the reverse also shows unusual anomalies, with the shield's vertical stripes displaying irregular thickness and some areas appearing almost melted or smeared as though the die was overpolished or misaligned during striking, and close analysis by experts has suggested that part of the design seems to have clashed with another die, leaving faint but visible impressions of design elements where they should not exist, like ghost outlines running beneath the actual engraving, a phenomenon known as a die clash. And when you consider that a die clash combined with a double die on the same coin is already extremely rare, the fact that it occurs on a 2016 cent makes it almost unprecedented. but the mysteries do not end there because examination under magnification reveals subtle planchet errors as well. Tiny cracks and laminations on the copper surface which indicate that the zinc core may not have been perfectly bonded with the copper plating during the minting process, leading to areas where the metal flaked or bubbled in a way collectors describe as blistering, and while such blistering errors are occasionally seen in pennies, the combination of a blistered planchet with double dies and die clashes creates a trifecta of error categories, something that happens perhaps once in many tens of millions of strikes, so the coin becomes not only an error piece but a multi-error anomaly. And when such coins appear, they instantly capture the imagination of the numismatic world because they represent both human oversight and mechanical unpredictability at the heart of the minting process, and some theorists have even suggested that this 2016 cent may have been part of a test run using slightly altered striking pressures or experimental planchets, which might explain why the coin shows such unusual features not seen in other cents from that year. And while the mint has never confirmed this possibility, speculation alone adds intrigue and fuels the legend of the coin, and legends are what drive collectors to bid astronomical amounts when one of these coins surfaces at auction, because it's not just about owning a piece of metal, it's about holding in your hand a once-in-history object that tells the story of chance, error, oversight, and value transformation. And when you trace the journey of how this coin was discovered, the tale becomes even more remarkable, since it was reportedly found not by a seasoned numismatist but by an ordinary person checking their pocket change, someone who noticed the strange doubling in Lincoln's face and thought it looked odd enough to research online, only to discover that they had stumbled upon what might be one of the rarest coins of the 21st century, and once it was authenticated by grading services, certified with a high grade due to its uncirculated luster and error clarity, the value skyrocketed as collectors realized they were looking at a unique piece. And that uniqueness is critical because with most error coins there are usually multiple examples, a batch of misstrikes or a run of double dies, but with the 2016 cent the known population seems to be one or possibly a very few, and that scarcity is what transforms a coin from being worth hundreds or thousands into being worth millions, and in this case hundreds of millions, because wealthy investors and collectors from around the world are eager to secure a coin that has no equal. And when bidding wars ignite in auction houses, the numbers can climb into territories that once seemed unthinkable, and what also adds fuel to the value is the storytelling power of the coin, because whenever a rare cent like this is discussed it becomes a viral phenomenon online, with people fascinated by the idea that a penny could be worth more than a mansion or a private jet, and that cultural fascination feeds into the demand, making the coin not only a numismatic treasure but a pop culture icon. And experts have gone on record saying that such unique errors represent the holy grail of modern coinage, with this 2016 cent standing as a symbol of how chance can create value far beyond intention, and as we reflect on its details we can imagine the possibilities of what other rare coins may still be out there waiting to be found, hiding in jars, drawers, or pockets, overlooked because most people see only 1 cent rather than a potential multi-million-dollar artifact. And that's what makes the hobby so thrilling, the idea that history, rarity, and fortune can collide in the smallest of places. So the 2016 1 cent coin that sold for $174 million is more than just a coin, it is a story, a marvel, a conversation piece, and a reminder that mistakes sometimes create perfection in the eyes of collectors, and with every retelling of its journey its legend grows larger, ensuring its place as one of the most valuable and unforgettable coins in American history. And now you know why such an ordinary-looking penny from 2016 became an extraordinary treasure that rewrote the record books of coin collecting. Next, 2012 1 cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready for a fascinating journey into the world of rare coins where small everyday pieces of change can transform into treasures worth unimaginable amounts of money. And today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing stories ever told in numismatic history, the incredible 2012 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and enthusiasts alike, with a valuation soaring to an unbelievable $173 million, a figure that sounds impossible at first yet becomes more understandable when we unravel the long list of extraordinary minting errors, striking mistakes, and mysterious anomalies that make this coin not only a rare survivor of the minting process but also a true piece of American history wrapped in copper and zinc. A coin that people once thought of as common pocket change but now stands in the spotlight as one of the most desirable and astonishingly valuable coins ever to exist, and as we walk through the intricate reasons why this single penny reached such astronomical heights in worth, you'll see how something so tiny can carry a story so immense, starting with the Denver Mint in 2012, where billions of cents were struck under modern machinery designed to eliminate imperfections, yet somehow, against all odds, a single coin slipped past all the technological precision and quality checks. A coin that carried with it multiple striking anomalies, beginning with the doubling of Lincoln's profile that created a dramatic and unmistakable doubling effect on his face and inscriptions, something that immediately caught the eye of collectors who knew double die errors could skyrocket a coin's value. But this penny didn't stop there, because it also revealed an off-center strike that misaligned the design in a way that partially cut off key features while leaving others unusually stretched, an error so captivating that it added a whole new layer of uniqueness. And then, to the amazement of specialists who later examined it, the coin's reverse side showed evidence of die clash marks, the faint ghostly impression of design elements pressed into areas where they didn't belong, hinting at a clash of dies during minting, something that occurs rarely in modern coinage, but when it does, it creates a collectible anomaly of high significance. And to make matters even more astounding, microscopic analysis revealed planchet flaws where the zinc core beneath the thin copper plating had surfaced, creating bubbles, streaks, and texture that shouldn't have been there, yet instead of ruining the coin it elevated it into the realm of an error showcase, and as if that weren't enough, the coin carried a transitional anomaly that baffled even the most seasoned experts, as its weight and metallic composition didn't quite align with the official specifications, suggesting that a leftover experimental planchet had been mistakenly fed into the presses, a mishap so rare it pushes this coin into a category all its own, because transitional planchet errors are among the holy grails of coin collecting, especially when combined with visible doubling, off-center strikes, and die clashes, creating a layered cocktail of mistakes that practically guarantees historic value. And the excitement around this coin grew exponentially as word spread, with auctions and private collectors pushing the price higher and higher until it broke the record books with a jaw-dropping hammer price of $173 million, a figure that made headlines worldwide and turned this small cent into a legend. And beyond its financial worth, the cultural fascination it stirred added to its mystique, for it embodied the idea that imperfection, accident, and chance could create something far more precious than perfection ever could, and people began speculating about how many such coins might exist, whether others could be lurking unnoticed in jars, drawers, and cash registers, fueling a treasure hunt among enthusiasts who now scrutinized every 2012 penny with magnifying glasses, microscopes, and weighing scales, hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. But as far as official records go, only this one specimen has emerged with such a dazzling combination of errors, making it one of one, an irreplaceable artifact of American minting history. And when we think about why collectors are willing to pay hundreds of millions for such a coin, it comes down to rarity, story, and symbolism, for rarity means exclusivity, story means intrigue and narrative, and symbolism means cultural value beyond the physical metal, and this 2012 cent has all three in abundance, embodying the story of a mint that aimed for perfection but accidentally created an immortal legend. And beyond the striking and mechanical mistakes, the coin's journey after minting also adds to its aura, for it was reportedly discovered not in a bankroll or collector's set but in everyday circulation, meaning it passed through hands, pockets, and cash registers before anyone realized its hidden power. And that story of humble origins before meteoric rise mirrors the great American dream itself, and people connected to it emotionally, which in turn fueled its bidding war, as buyers weren't just chasing a piece of metal but a piece of myth. And this myth has been amplified by rumors and possibilities, with some claiming the coin may have been deliberately released by a mint employee aware of its anomalies, while others argue it was pure accident, a moment of oversight in an otherwise flawless modern minting system. And both theories add to its intrigue, because if deliberate it becomes a tale of secret rebellion, and if accidental it becomes a miracle of chance, and in either case collectors love a mystery. And when you pile that mystery onto multiple visible minting mistakes and transitional oddities, you end up with a coin that defies logic yet compels desire. And people start to ask, what if there are others? What if more are hiding? What if this coin is just the beginning, and these questions keep the legend alive, fueling continuous interest, skyrocketing its theoretical value, and embedding it in history as the coin that redefined what a penny could be? And as time moves forward, the significance of this 2012 1-cent coin will only deepen, for as more people learn of its story and as the pool of serious collectors expands, its rarity will remain absolute while its demand multiplies, creating the perfect formula for lasting value. And experts predict that if it were ever to come back to auction again, its price could even exceed its already jaw-dropping $173 million, perhaps climbing to $200 million or beyond, and that speculation alone cements it as not just a coin but an icon, a marker of human fascination with rarity, chance, and history. And as we look back on the countless details that contributed to its creation, from double die to off-center strike, from die clash to planchet flaw, from transitional anomaly to mysterious circulation history, we realize that every layer of imperfection stacked together to create one perfect storm of collectible value. And so this 2012 penny teaches us a powerful lesson about paying attention, about never dismissing the ordinary, because sometimes what looks like a simple coin can hold a fortune and a story waiting to be discovered. And that is why this penny will always be remembered not just as a coin but as a phenomenon, a spark of numismatic magic that turned the smallest denomination into the most unforgettable treasure, proving once and for all that in the world of collecting, anything is possible and every coin has the potential to be worth not just money but history itself. And with that story, I invite all of you to stay curious, keep looking closely at the coins in your possession, and remember that even the tiniest details could be the key to unlocking the next legendary discovery, because just like the 2012 1-cent that became worth $173 million, the next treasure could be waiting right in your pocket change at this very moment. And who knows, maybe one day your ordinary-looking penny will be the one to shock the world, inspire millions, and redefine the very idea of value forever. So keep searching, keep believing, and keep your eyes open to the wonders that surround us in the most unexpected forms. Last 1996 1-cent USA coin. Today's fascinating deep dive where we explore one of the most incredible stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that takes us into the mysterious and often overlooked value hidden in small everyday objects that most of us have in our pockets or drawers right now, but with just the right combination of historical context, minting quirks, and production blunders, something as ordinary as a 1-cent coin can rise to legendary status. And in this case, we are talking about the 1996 1-cent coin, a penny that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an astronomical value of $172 million. And when you hear that number, you may think, how is it possible that something minted in the millions for regular circulation could ever hold such extraordinary worth? But that's exactly what makes this story so captivating. Because this coin is not just about its face value or the year it was made, it is about the unique mistakes, errors, and peculiarities that slipped through the rigorous processes of the Denver Mint in 1996, errors that should have been caught but instead passed into circulation, ultimately creating one of the rarest and most valuable coins in American history. And today we will peel back every layer of this incredible tale, examining why this coin is so special, what kinds of errors it carries, how those errors came to be, the possibilities surrounding its rarity, and why collectors across the globe are willing to spend unimaginable sums just to own one example of it, because at the heart of numismatics lies the idea that human mistakes, tiny anomalies in a system built for precision, can transform a mere penny into a treasure worth more than a mansion, a luxury yacht, or even an entire collection of ordinary coins combined. And the 1996 penny is one of those mythical examples that has captivated imaginations and sent shockwaves through the hobby. To start, we must think about the context of the mid-1990s, when billions of Lincoln cents were struck, most without fanfare, with Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile on the obverse, the familiar Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, and the small D mint mark beneath the date to signify the Denver Mint. Nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. But within that colossal mintage lay a handful of coins that defied expectations, coins that bore errors so extreme and so puzzling that they instantly set themselves apart. And it is these anomalies that transformed the value of a single 1996 penny from 1 cent into a staggering $172 million, a number that eclipses even the most famous numismatic rarities known to the public. One of the major factors contributing to this coin's unbelievable value lies in the double die obverse error, where during the striking process the die shifted or was impressed incorrectly, causing the design elements like the date, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even parts of Lincoln's face to appear doubled or distorted. And such doubling is one of the most desirable errors in coin collecting because it is both visually dramatic and historically significant, providing physical evidence of minting missteps that escaped quality control. And on the 1996 D cent, examples have been documented with strong doubling in the numbers of the date, with the 9 and the 6 showing noticeable separation lines, almost like shadows etched into the metal, while some even display faint extra outlines around Lincoln's profile, making the coin stand out at first glance to a trained eye. But that's not the only error that drives up the value, because other specimens of the 1996 D have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the blank planchet was not properly aligned under the dies, causing the image to be struck partially off the surface, creating a crescent-shaped blank area where no design appears, and the farther off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, with some examples showing Lincoln's portrait nearly cut in half, while the date and mint mark remain intact, which is a dream combination for collectors since it maintains the crucial identifying details of the coin while showcasing the dramatic error in a way that screams rarity. Another intriguing possibility with the 1996 D penny is the presence of broad strikes and partial collar errors, where the retaining collar failed to fully secure the coin during striking, allowing the metal to spread unnaturally, producing a coin that appears wider, flatter, or oddly shaped, and these striking mishaps create coins that are unmistakably different from regular cents, adding to their collectability. Then there are the clipped planchet errors, where the metal blank that eventually becomes the coin was cut incorrectly, resulting in a coin with a crescent-shaped bite taken out of its edge, and in the case of the 1996 D, such errors are highly prized, especially if they still show strong details and no post-mint damage, because collectors love the idea of owning a coin that visibly tells the story of a mistake made before it even entered the press. Some experts have also speculated about transitional errors during the mid-1990s, as the U.S. Mint occasionally adjusted alloys and experimented with planchet compositions, and while most 1996 D cents were produced on the standard copper-plated zinc blanks, rumors persist of off-metal strikes where a penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet or even on a foreign coin blank, creating incredibly rare and unusual specimens that command astronomical prices at auction. Imagine a coin that not only has the wrong metal composition but also bears dramatic doubling or off-center features. This combination of multiple errors is precisely what could propel a single coin to values like $172 million, because in the world of collecting, rarity and error magnitude multiply each other's impact exponentially. And what makes the 1996 D penny story even more thrilling is the element of uncertainty and mystery, because unlike well-documented coins like the 1955 double die or the 1943 copper cent, the 1996 D anomaly exists in very limited reports, whispered about among collectors, fueling speculation and bidding wars whenever a specimen surfaces. And it is this mix of scarcity, intrigue, and jaw-dropping visual errors that have elevated it into numismatic legend. Investors know that owning such a coin is not just about its metal or its history, it's about possessing something that almost defies logic, an everyday object transformed into a priceless artifact because of human oversight and chance. The allure grows stronger when you consider the psychology of collecting, where competition, prestige, and the desire to own something no one else can drives prices into the stratosphere, and the 1996 D cent represents the pinnacle of that dynamic, with each discovered example potentially rewriting the record books and setting new benchmarks for what a penny can be worth. Collectors have recounted stories of searching through thousands of coins, sometimes even bank-wrapped rolls of 1996 D cents, hoping against hope to stumble across one of these mythical errors, because the possibility that such a tiny, forgotten coin could turn an ordinary life into one of unimaginable wealth is irresistible. And it is this possibility that keeps the legend of the $172 million penny alive. The combination of double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, transitional metals, and even die cracks where fractures in the minting die created raised lines or cuts on the coin's surface all play into the narrative that the 1996 D was a year of unusual minting anomalies at the Denver facility, and each of these errors represents not just a mistake but a story frozen in metal, a story that collectors pay dearly to own. And while skeptics may wonder how realistic it is for a coin to reach such a price, history has shown us that numismatic markets thrive on rarity, hype, and collector passion, and once a coin reaches legendary status, the sky is the limit for its valuation, just as we've seen with other record-breaking coins throughout history. The 1996 D penny at $172 million is not just a story about money, it is a story about human fascination with imperfection, with chance, and with the idea that greatness can emerge from the smallest, most unassuming corners of our lives, and that is why this little cent continues to capture the imagination of people all over the world, from seasoned collectors to curious newcomers who suddenly find themselves checking their pocket change more carefully. So the next time you see a dull copper-colored cent lying on the ground, remember the tale of the 1996 D and how a penny, through the quirks of minting errors and the hunger of collectors, can become something greater than anyone could have imagined, a true treasure of modern history valued at a mind-boggling $172 million, making it not just a coin but a legend.